The following podcast was brought to you by the members of the Casino Skunk Secret Society. For just $1 a month, you can unlock every audio and video episode available instantly. And don't worry about any commitments. You can quit at any time. So for just $1, you can download every single episode and then bounce out. Just head to patreon.com/casinoskunk. Welcome to the Casino Skunk Secret Society. I'm Ralph, and today I am covering The Mandalorian, Chapter 2, The Child, with Eddie Pence, who's a comedian. He does a couple of podcasts. The one I know him from is The Ralph Report, which is a daily podcast on Patreon starring Ralph Garman and Eddie Pence. He also does Swings and Misses, as well as The Ramble, which you can hear weekly wherever podcasts are downloaded. I got Eddie on the line, so without further ado, let's start talking Star Wars. So, yeah, I guess we could just start talking.
Yeah.
But, okay, so this episode 2, The Child, or Chapter 2, The Child.
Yes.
I mean, it's awesome.
Yes.
But there's not a lot to talk about. I watched it twice, and I'm looking for stuff to, like story-wise, nothing much happens, but it's still awesome. So let me tell you this real quick. Yesterday I went to Disneyland
Nice.
with a group of friends. I listened to a Star Wars podcast, and they were doing a meetup at Star Wars because it was Life Day.
Yeah. Oh, was it Life Day yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I think the podcast people who listened to that podcast showed up. Like, it was like 4 of us, including the podcaster and his wife. So it wasn't really a lot of people, but around sundown we were walking through Galaxy's Edge, and there was a huge fucking meetup. It had to have been like 100 and maybe 150 people there, and they're wearing like the red robes and shit. And
There was really a Life Day celebration at Galaxy's Edge?
yeah.
Oh my God.
So it was a fan thing.
That's
And
amazing.
I guess Disney heard about it, because I oversaw it. Like, they had a couple of the cast members like watching it, and
Yeah.
they're like, this is kind of awesome. I don't know what's going on, but this is great. So I guess Disney heard about the meetup and was like, cool, just make sure they're not disrupting anything. And they sent out like a security guard and then just like a couple of the cast members. And this dude handed out all of these printouts that had like traditional caroling songs, but with the Star Wars twist on them.
Oh my God.
And like 150 people in like robes and wearing red. And a lot of people had like the glowing orbs, were holding the glowing orbs and stuff. They were all
that's
singing
awesome.
these songs. And then, like, after they were done with the last song, Chewbacca came walking through the marketplace, got in the middle of the group, grabbed one of the glowing orbs and held it up into the air, and everyone cheered.
Oh my God.
It was insane.
It's the biggest nerdgasm of all time.
It was crazy. And then when the sun went down, they had this procession that lasted like 2 minutes from one side of Galaxy's Edge to the Falcon, and they were all holding the glowing orbs, and they were singing the song that Princess Leia sang on the
my
holiday
God.
special. And
Oh
then
my
they-
God.
So you got to look this up. If you look
Oh.
up like Life Day, Galaxy's Edge in Anaheim, it was amazing.
Wow.
Um,
You know now that Disney's going to be all over this next year.
they have to
They're
be,
gonna
right?
they're gonna make it a thing. I mean, well, they made it canon by putting it in the first episode of
Yes.
Mandalorian.
Yes.
So they made it canon again. So yeah, they're gonna make it a thing next year.
And then Jon Favreau keeps saying that he wants to
A
do
holiday
a new
special.
holiday special. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if he wants to make a good one, if he wants to make it like a variety show,
Yeah.
but I want it to happen. Even
Oh,
if it's
dude,
like
I'm all in.
even if it's like a serious take on like the Life Day storyline.
Yeah.
Like, get the dude that played Solo and get Chewbacca
Oh, yeah.
and get them back home on Life Day.
Yeah.
Like, it could be a remake for all I care.
Yeah. I'm such a Star Wars mark. It doesn't matter. I'm
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and that's why I have you here, because I knew you were, And I've been wanting to talk. I wanted to do this Mandalorian show, and it's 8 episodes, and I'm like, I want to make sure that I find like diehard Star Wars fans. And I mean, yeah.
I nerded out with episode 1 when he said Life Day. I'm like, holy shit!
Well,
they did it.
So I work graveyards. I work graveyard shifts, and so I like see Twitter at weird times. And you must have stayed up.
Oh, I did. I waited.
Yeah, to watch Mandalorian. And so you just wrote something about, like, I think your tweet was like, Life Day is real.
Yeah.
And I responded and I was like, oh, wait, hold on. Mandalorian's up. And I didn't tell my wife this, and she's going to hear this now, but while I was at work, I watched like the first 10 minutes without her. Because I'm like, oh, I have to see this. And I was so excited because I already knew that the rifle he had was Boba Fett's from the holiday special cartoon. Like,
that's right.
Yeah, the one that's a shocker poker
yes.
thing. Yeah. So I knew that Jon Favreau was down with that, and I want to say, well, I guess it's already happened, that he has brought up that there will be references to the Ewok Adventures, the live action TV movies, and those blurgs are stop motion creatures in, I believe, the second Ewok Adventure, the Battle for Endor. So
wow,
he's in deep, and I've said it before on this podcast that I want a third Ewok Adventure to be made and put on Disney Plus.
That would be amazing.
Like with Sindel grown up and she goes back to Endor for like refuge, and she finds out that God, I've told this story so many times that the first, so have it be the First Order is taking all the Ewoks and using them as slaves, and then Sindel finds an old wicket and they go together to try to free the slaves. But I'm like, make it First Order, have it be Kylo Ren trying to hunt down any remnants of Darth Vader's armor and lightsaber and stuff. Yeah. So set it in that like a prequel to Episode 7, but yeah.
Oh, all in.
Right?
That's where they find the helmet for Force Awakens.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how you
Yeah, so in. Maybe just send Captain Phasma down there if you don't want to get Adam Driver to do it. Just have Captain Phasma doing it.
Yeah. That will give her more story.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. That's brilliant. It's so brilliant. But having Warwick Davis as like an old, wise wicket, you know?
Oh, so into it. So into it. And maybe have some fucking scavenger like scout trooper who's just living in the woods now because the Empire fell, so he decided to stay there and just like try to make a go of it. Just like a Rambo scout trooper.
Like he could be the guide. Like at first you think he's like an enemy. He like pops out of the woods.
Yeah.
But he's been surviving there for the last 30 years.
Yeah, he's just got like a couple pieces of his armor still on him, but everything else is just sort of almost looks like a Tarzan, but he's a scout trooper.
So Sindel, the scout trooper, and Wicket.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And Wilford Brimley's still alive and kicking. Get him back in there too.
Get him in there. Oh yeah.
How old do you think Wilford Brimley is?
Oh God, 110.
He's 85.
He's only 85.
I looked it up.
He looked 85 in Cocoon.
Yeah, I talked about this before too. There's a Twitter account called the Brimley Cocoon Line, and it takes celebrities now and tweets out when they reach the age that Wilford Brimley was during Cocoon.
I saw it. Tom Cruise is like Wilford Brimley.
He's like, no, he's like way older. It's like Jennifer Aniston. Like seriously, Jennifer Aniston's one of them.
Oh my God.
She's the
crazy
age that Wilford Brimley was when he was in Cocoon.
Wow. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I mean,
is it good we're aging slower, or is it so much plastic surgery that like these people are just gonna fall apart?
No, I think Wilford Brimley's looked that way since he was like 5.
Oh, it's probably been drinking since he was 6. Oh man.
All right, let's talk about this episode somewhat. But I mean, like I said, there's not a whole huge.
Dude, I geeked out just to see a sandcrawler again.
But yeah, and to see it in action. Like that scene.
Yeah.
That scene where he's like jumping up the side of the sandcrawler reminded me of the old SNES game, the Super Star Wars.
Dude, it reminded me. It was sort of an homage to Temple of Last Crusade when Indiana Jones is chasing down those Nazi tanks.
Oh yeah.
You know, and they're trying to run him into the wall, and he jumps. You know, like that whole scene reminded me of that.
It also reminded me of Batman 66.
Yeah,
that shot of him climbing up the side, and it also reminded me of Laughing with the
sticking the head out the door. Oh, and when he tossed the Jawa out the window, I laughed my ass.
It like
it was so cool.
It's just action.
Yeah. And this obviously isn't Tatooine because it's muddy, right? There's too much water there for it to be Tatooine.
Yeah, it like rained while they were going to look for the Jawas.
Yeah, and these are called off-world. According to the Star Wars Black Series line that's out, they're called off-world Jawas.
Okay, and I noticed their eyes were red.
They're red, so I think that has to do with something. These aren't Tatooine Jawas; these are off-world Jawas, whatever that means.
Yeah. How do they get their sandcrawler there?
I don't know.
I want to see that.
Do Jawas originate on Tatooine, or are they just all over throughout the universe? Like, it's so interesting.
Well, if this is called off-world Jawas, I'm assuming they originate from Tatooine.
Yeah, and then they've just gone other places. But it was just cool to see the inside of a sandcrawler and where the droids were kept, and just to see it in action was amazing.
Yeah, it's literally Jon Favreau playing with toys, like action figures.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm assuming he just he got his hands on every Kenner action figure, dumped them out, and is just like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Like, it says the script is written by him, but I guarantee you he had an assistant writing this stuff down as he played on the floor with action figures.
And look at how cool was it to see an actual disintegration by a bounty hunter? I mean, that's the first time you'd ever seen, like, you know, Darth Vader goes, no disintegrations.
Yeah.
But now you know what he meant.
And I never even thought that would happen in this show.
Yeah.
I never thought it would.
And it happens the first 2 seconds of the second episode when that bounty hunter is going for the baby Yoda and he just disintegrates it.
Oh yeah, the Trandoshan.
You're like, oh my god. Yeah, you're like, oh my god. That's what Vader meant by no disintegrations.
Yeah. Yeah, when it happened, I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Star Wars can do that. And then I remembered, no disintegrations. It's a thing that Mandalorians are
known to do. It's just so, like, there's just so many, like, there's so many nods to, like my wife watched it with us and she loves it and she's not into Star Wars at all.
Uh-huh.
And she loved it. And then people like me watch it or you watch it and you're like, oh my God, you're getting all these little nods and winks to every little thing that is so minor in the universe.
Do you have to keep it in, or do you just nerd out in front of her?
I nerd out. I can't help it. I'm just like, he disintegrated him. Oh my God. Do you realize in episode 5 when Vader pointed at him and said, notice it? And she just like, her vagina's bone dry at this point. So it's just like, all right, we're not going to be intimate for a while. I can tell.
I was noticing online, someone pointed this out. There's a cool shot of when the Mandalorian's walking in that sort of like cave, sort of, I don't know what you would call that.
Yeah.
In the little rock formations where the lizards are.
Yeah.
Before the Trandoshans show up, you could see the shadow up top jumping across that little gap above him.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I noticed that right at the beginning, and then there's a reflection on his helmet.
Yes,
too.
That's what I was bringing up. That is awesome. When he turns around, you can see the reflections jumping across that gap again. Yeah.
It's just the attention to detail is so out of this. It's just crazy how detailed this is for a series, not a film, but a series.
I was watching a Q&A with like the actors and the directors and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and they were talking about this process on how they're doing it, and they said they're going to release once the series is done, or this season is done, they're going to release like a behind the scenes documentary. And from what it sounds like, they're not doing green screen. They have some gigantic screen that like surrounds the whole stage. And ILM ahead of time went in and fully rendered backgrounds. And there's only some set stuff and the rest is just physically on screen.
Oh, nice.
So, and apparently the way the cameras work is the image that's being projected can pull out of focus or be in focus depending on what the digital camera wants it to do. However they want the shot. It's some sort of weird 360 screen, and I think the ground may also be a screen as well.
Really?
So I don't know what's taking place. I don't know if any of it's taking place outside, but apparently when the actors are in there, like those reflections on his helmet are actual reflections from whatever's being projected in this room.
That's nuts.
So they're able to create the digital environment ahead of time.
Oh, it looks so good.
They drop the people inside of it.
It looks real.
Yeah, I want to know to what extent this is happening, but it sounds nuts. I can't wait. Well, I'm enjoying the show being like an episode per week, but I can't wait for the end to see this documentary.
Yeah, I want to see that. Because it looks so real. Unlike, like you watch like Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, and it looks like a Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah, you can tell where the studio ground stops, like in the Geonosian arena and stuff.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, but so yeah, it's crazy how they're doing this technology, and I can't wait to see more on that. We haven't talked about him yet, and I'm so glad that Disney finally today, Disney Plus and the Mandalorian Twitter and Star Wars all posted a picture of Baby Yoda. So it's out there. What are your thoughts? Well, obviously it's not Yoda.
Obviously, I mean, they say he's 50 years old. So like I was doing the math with my buddy, who's another Star Wars geek, and this predates him like 10 years before Episode 1, or even farther back than Episode 1.
So
right, and so it's like
Yoda and Yaddle.
I mean, is it Yoda and Yaddle? I don't know if like because they'd always mentioned they'd always mention sort of they dropped clues in the Clone Wars, and even like Yoda saw what was going to happen, like the fall of the Republic, and there was a shout of the dark side, and things haven't been right with the Jedi Order for a while. So like, did he go off and clone himself? And this is a clone of Yoda?
That's the thing, is that the doctor who is hanging out with Werner Herzog, apparently somewhere on his uniform is a Camino symbol.
Yes.
And he wants the baby alive for sure.
Right.
So he may
does he want to clone the baby, or is the baby a clone? And then does this go back to Yoda having premonitions of like he can see the future more clearly? He knew Leia wasn't the one. And so when he says there is another, does he mean it's this baby Yoda of himself, or this other, this force-sensitive creature of his same race? Is that the other instead of Luke?
So here's a question. Okay, so if this is a clone that was cloned on Camino, how did it get out?
Yes.
And we have an Obi-Wan series coming up soon, and Obi-Wan has been to the cloning facility before.
Yes. So
maybe in the Obi-Wan series, we see him infiltrating the cloners and taking the baby away.
Right.
And then handing it off to wherever before he dies in Episode 4 or something.
Oh, man. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's so...
I don't know.
Because this all takes place after Return of the Jedi, so who knows where this thing has been in that whole time. And is it a clone of Yoda? Is it just another one of his kind? Is this the one Yoda talked about, there being another? I mean, it's crazy.
But the thing is, Lucas always said
it opens up so many doors now.
Yeah. But Lucas said they would never, ever reveal the species or the history of Obi-Wan, or not Obi-Wan, of Yoda. And I think I would be pissed with the baby Yoda, if Yaddle wasn't introduced in the prequels, because I always thought that Yoda was one of a kind, but to have Yaddle in there, I'm like cool with there being this baby. Yeah, I want to know. I want to know more about this character without knowing more about the species, but I need someone to give it a name because it's driving me. I can't call it Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I know.
I've been calling it like Yiddle.
Yiddle,
like
yiddle,
it's a
yaddle,
little,
Yoda.
yeah, a little Yoda. So he's like little, but
Little
yiddle.
Yoda, yiddle, yiddle.
So I heard another podcast they were calling it Yodel, which I liked. But they need to come up with something because I'm tired of seeing it say Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I don't want to say Baby Yoda unless I know it's actually a clone of Yoda, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm fine with it. But if it's not, I don't want to call it Baby Yoda.
Yeah, and everybody, like, people are already confused about timelines and shit. Obviously, we understand when this takes place. But
Yeah.
to say it's Baby Yoda means people think it's probably, like, from before the prequels.
Right.
Which it definitely isn't.
No.
Cool. So, did you notice when the Mandalorian was picking off the Jawas that the Baby Yoda was like seemed really into it?
He was totally into it.
That's weird.
I mean, that's intentional, right? Nothing's unintentional in these shots.
Yeah.
They're moving reflections on his helmet, so everything's intentional.
Yeah, and it's
so Yoda's yeah.
I think Yoda's a puppet, but yeah, it's definitely not afraid. It's not like closing its eyes. It like had both hands on the edge of the little buggy and was like totally like looking at this. So I'm wondering if it's evil maybe.
Well, it helped him. It helped the Mandalorian kill that rhino-looking thing.
Yeah, they called it the Mudhorn.
Yeah, he held it up so Mandalorian could stab it in the throat.
What'd you think of that?
I mean, that's kind of, that seems against the Jedi way.
Yeah, like the thing I like about this show being released on a weekly basis, even though we only had 3 days between these two episodes.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about it is it gave all the fans time to discuss whether this baby was force sensitive. And so it was fun speculating about that and then getting the answer the next episode. I can't wait to see what happens next week. But
dude, this is amazing. I every week I'm like, I want it. I want them all out right now.
Yeah, but
does this tie into Rise of Skywalker at all?
Well, that's what I don't know, because we did mention the cloning facility. And then the episode that comes out the week of Rise of Skywalker got pushed forward to Wednesday. It's the only other episode besides the pilot that's not on a Friday. So do they want people to watch that episode before Rise of Skywalker? And does it have to do with the cloning facility? Does it have to do with the Emperor making a return? So maybe it sets up the cloning facility.
Yeah.
I don't
man.
know. I know, right?
What a time to be alive.
I don't know if any of this shit is gonna happen, but it's exciting just because, like, my wife has kind of Star Wars fatigue, but she started really getting back into it because of the Mandalorian, and I feel like I didn't have Star Wars fatigue, but
I don't either. I never did. But
this is like making me like even. I mean, this is like the opposite of like Star Wars fatigue. Like I want it all consumed so bad.
Right. Like this, I haven't felt this. This is different because I've never felt this way about Star Wars before, because I've never been so intrigued. Like I was a big fan of Rebels.
Yeah.
And when they introduced Rebels, sort of Saw Gerrera, and sort of when they were kind of coming up, where it was sort of coming close to meeting up with Rogue One.
Yeah.
And I was really getting into that, and like even the whole Darth Maul, Obi-Wan resolution, I was really into. I was like, oh, this is weird because this is outside of how I normally view Star Wars. This is an episodic feel, and this is crazy. And that's sort of this feel, but like on another level.
So I remember the Rebels, the episode surrounding the release of Rogue One was Saw Gerrera heavy, and I think that's when they went to Yavin 4.
Yeah.
And in the movie, you can see the ghost parked there, and you hear her name, and you see Chopper and stuff, and it's like
you have that stuff mixed in. But this is crazy because you knew where that was going. You knew where that was headed. This, I have no idea where it's going.
Yeah, because it's all completely. They haven't even run into really any characters from any of the movies.
Yeah,
like Rebels did that. Rebels had like Dodonna and
Lando and Leia.
Yeah, and so this one, it's like none of these people as far as we know, really matter to any of the characters from any of the trilogies or any of the films. So I don't know if I want someone to show up, but if I have a feeling if someone does, I'll get really excited.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know who it would be. If it's I mean who would fit this story that would make sense? I think the only thing that would make sense is the ghost of Yoda. But with the ghost of Yoda, I mean,
Yoda's ghost, or I mean, maybe a Captain Rex since he's a clone.
Yeah, he's in. God, that's what's awesome about Rebels. Is
they tied him into Return of the Jedi.
Exactly.
It was great.
Yeah. So with Dave Filoni's involvement, I could see like Rex showing up.
Yeah, or even maybe at this point, maybe Boba Fett did survive, and you see an older, the actor, I forget, Tamura, whatever his name was, Tamura Morrison, I think, is that who played?
Yeah.
Maybe he's aged enough, he at this point, he plays an older Boba Fett who did get out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Maybe that character comes into play somehow. Because did you see that one shot in the first episode of Mandalorian when he's walking through where all the Mandalorians are, and in the background there is a guy in armor that's very like similar to Boba Fett. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is anything or not, but then again, all this stuff is intentional. Nothing's by mistake.
Yeah, you're not gonna get costuming to put this stuff on somebody.
Right.
And have it go through like every filter and then still make it on air and be like, oops, we accidentally put Boba Fett in there.
Grab some Mandalorian armor and put it on and stand over there. That's not how it's made.
Yeah.
So if it's either intentionally trying to throw people or it's there for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, if they put Boba Fett in there, that'd be great.
Did you read the Aftermath books?
I'm not much of a reader. I need to get like the audiobooks.
There's some interesting things because you do find out what happened to Jar Jar Binks, which is kind of fun.
Okay.
Also, you find out there's a scene with a sandcrawler and a guy trying to purchase damaged Mandalorian armor from the Jawas.
Okay.
That said they dug it out of a Sarlacc pit.
Okay.
So you don't know if Boba Fett made it out, or maybe they just scrapped his armor out of there. So there's hints in those Aftermath books of something happening with Boba Fett. And then there's also a bunch of stuff in the third Aftermath book, which might tie into Rise of Skywalker, because you see where Palpatine was setting up cloning facilities on Jakku for the eventual, because he had his eventual plan of when the Empire ends, what happens next. So he had all these contingencies laid in place, and those books sort of cover that a little bit or touch on it.
What happens to Jar Jar?
He becomes a street performer on Naboo, entertaining children in front of a fountain. Oh. He's basically like a homeless Gungan who's turned into a clown.
Dude, oh man, I want him in episode 9. I want a Jar Jar redemption. I don't hate Jar Jar. I understand that he's way annoying.
Yeah.
But I've over the years I've kind of enjoyed sort of how silly it is and how despised he is, and being a Star Wars fan for life, I kind of take joy in not just being contrarian, but just embracing it. And
dude, Lucas was right. He's popular. Kids like him. Kids find him funny.
Yeah.
He served the purpose Lucas created for him. It's the older Star Wars fans that weren't kids when those movies came out that treat him with such disdain.
I sort of as a joke years ago, probably 10 years ago, I set my text tone as Jar Jar saying "excuse me," and I did it pretty much because I told everybody has this similar text tones, and when a text tone goes off, everyone looks at their phone or whatever. I know when it's my phone, but hearing "excuse me" every day for the last 10 years. It's really, I've become really fond of the character, and it's gotten to the point where I grew up with the original trilogy. I was born in 1977, and I've loved Star Wars my whole life, and there was a good chunk of my life where there was no Star Wars. And the prequels came, and I was like, they're not great, but I like
It's Star Wars.
I like the design of it. I like the lightsabers. It's still Star Wars. And people kind of dropped off. There's like these kind of peaks and valleys when it comes to Star Wars fans. But for me, everything since Return of the Jedi is just gravy. Like it's the cherry on top. It's extra, you know. I'm happy with any Star Wars now.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm a Star Wars mark. Like I love all of it. You can't piss me off as a Star Wars fan. Like whatever direction you go, like Last Jedi, I love Last Jedi because it went all the other places I didn't think it was going to go.
Mm-hmm. So there's something happened recently and I love it and it makes me laugh and I swear to God it's George Lucas trolling, but it's McClunky and it makes me so happy. Are you familiar with McClunky?
No, what's McClunky?
Oh, you don't know McClunky?
No.
All right, dude. So before Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, he gave him an updated cut with one more shot during the Greedo scene. So that's the version.
That's the version they put on Disney Plus, right? Where they both shoot at the same time?
Yeah. But there's one added shot of Greedo and it's not translated and he just says McClunky and then they shoot at each other. So McClunky is like this, like everybody went ape shit and people are pissed because they're, you know, because it's Lucas meddling again. But at this point, like he's fucked with that scene so many times that I just sit back and laugh because it's McClunky. Like it's Greedo saying McClunky. You got to watch it. Go on Disney Plus. It's on that one.
All right.
But check it out. We've barely talked about this episode. But I think
not a lot. There was an awesome chase, and then there was some cool stuff. But I mean, not a lot happened story wise.
Yeah, we get the Trandoshans, we get the Jawas, we get more of Nick Nolte, the Ugnaught.
Yeah,
which instant classic character.
Yeah,
like everyone's quoting the
I have spoken.
Yeah, and it's crazy because he's got his what is it, his ship, the Razor Crest.
Yeah,
he has the Razor Crest working again, and now they're going off world. I did like the last line where Ugnaught, Nick Nolte, tells him, he says, hopefully the baby survives and it brings you a handsome reward. I love that line because you can tell, and the Mandalorian doesn't have to do anything to show that he's conflicted, like whether to turn this baby over to shady characters or to protect it at all costs. And I think that's a cool setup. So now that his ship's working again, he's out in the galaxy. He can go anywhere, and we can have anybody chasing him.
Yeah, and also you don't know if he understood what that Force thing was. Like the way when Disney retconned Star Wars when they bought it, they sort of made the entire idea of Jedis and everything almost a mythical thing. Whereas like Luke, no one really knew Luke, Vader, and Palpatine were sort of Force wielders.
Right.
So that's all seems very mythological. And to the general universe, the general galaxy in Star Wars, everyone thinks the Jedi died out a generation ago. They don't know this stuff still happens.
Yeah, it sounds
like you don't know if Mandalorian really knows if this is this a Force sensitive thing? What is this?
Yeah, because it seems like by the time Rogue One happens, which at this point would have been, I don't know how many years. It's at least 5 since Jedi, I think. But
yeah, I think the original trilogy spanned like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. So even by the time that Rogue One happens, the Jedi are kind of forgotten. Yeah. And the only thing you have left are these the Keeper of the Wills who are on Jedha, which is now completely wiped off the face of the planet. Like the Jedi temple and with the kyber crystals and stuff is completely destroyed. So
Palpatine doesn't wield power through the Force. He wields it through government and bureaucracy and control like that, and threat of power with the stormtroopers, stuff like that. He doesn't send Vader doesn't go around wielding Force everywhere. That's sort of like a secret agent he has that goes and takes care of whatever needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Like there's like, if you read some of the novels and stuff, it's sort of like Darth Vader is this creature that people don't really know. Some people think he really exists. Other people think it's a figment of other people's imagination, because he doesn't really leave survivors wherever he goes.
Right. And
so no one really knows what Sith or Jedi really are.
Yeah, because Luke doesn't even know he's a Jedi, or a Force wielder. And you have Obi-Wan and Yoda are really the only ones left.
Yeah.
And they go into deep hiding.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as the Mandalorian goes, he says in the show that his religion is weapons.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't concern himself. Like, I'm aware of other religions here on this planet Earth,
right?
But I don't know what's involved with them. I don't know
who they believe. When Nick Nolte goes, explain to me what happened again, and he's like, I'm not even sure if I know what happened.
Yeah. So yeah,
when they're driving back to fix his ship.
Yeah, at this point, even with the events surrounding Return of the Jedi and stuff, even though Luke is a Jedi or considers
all that happened on a Death Star that blew up that no one knows about.
Nobody knows about that. And so what's great is by the time we get to The Force Awakens, like, the only person that talks about the Force is Han Solo.
Yeah.
Which is a great story arc, because when we first met him, he thought the Force was bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, he said himself, he flew from one side of this galaxy to the other, and he said he never saw anything that, seemed to indicate that there was an all-powerful Force. And so even in the original Star Wars, a dude that's been all over the universe hasn't even really heard of the Force.
Seen it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's totally works in canon. So, and then we're like, however many years removed from that, you think of Mandalorian, who's just focuses on bounties and stuff. He doesn't,
So now does he take this baby Yiddle or Yaddle or whatever you want to call it? Does he take that off to try to figure out what this thing is and what it does? Is that part of his motivation for not turning it in yet? Because he wants to know what this thing is?
Maybe.
Because he doesn't know if it's a Force wielder. He might not even know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, we learn. The thing is, the Mandalorian is orphaned.
Yes,
we know that. So he already has a soft spot for protecting the baby.
He's already got a connection with this thing because of that. Yeah.
So as soon as he reached out in the first episode, that last shot where he reaches out, like, that's it. He's done. He's suckered into taking care of this baby, and he's going to do everything to protect it. And he's not going to get his bounty, and that's going to be pretty bad. So in the first, like, you've seen the trailer, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And we've seen Giancarlo Esposito. It looks like he's dressed as like an Imperial officer.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that it looks like Werner Herzog has grabbed some stormtroopers as hired hands, because they have nowhere to go now that the war is over. So he probably gets in touch with Giancarlo Esposito, who's a former Imperial officer, and just uses them as like mercenaries to go after this baby.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun, dude. The Mandalorian versus stormtroopers.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. I can't wait.
We have to wait a week, but I mean, think about between like the Ewok Adventures and like the special editions, like that was like that was like 10 years plus. It's probably like 12
years.
A decade. Yeah, I think we're good.
And we got to wait a week now to start so far.
Yeah, and we can't deal with it. And the thing is, we have to wait a week for these 8 episodes of Star Wars, and in the middle, we have a fucking movie coming out.
We have episode 9 coming out, and then the Obi-Wan series after that.
So it's
and they're already shooting season 2 of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive! What a time to be alive!
They're shooting it somewhere in California. I gotta go sneak on the set.
I want to be on that. I want to be in it so bad.
Well, you're a comedian, and we've seen at least 2 in the first episode.
Right.
With Brian Posehn and Horatio Sands.
Posehn. Yeah.
But let's do it. I'll just follow you. I mentioned this on the last show. I'm a bald guy with a beard, and there's at least a dozen of them in the first episode. So
you guys are Cantina dwellers.
Yeah, let's go. Well, what do you want to be? What would you be if you were to be in the Mandalorian?
Put me. I want to be a gonk droid.
The tallest gonk droid.
Yeah, the tallest gonk droid. Or what's the ones with the big boxes with the fucking feet? That one.
Yeah, the gonk.
Forgot those. The gonk droid. Yeah, I'll just be bent over walking. Anything. I just want to be anything, and I'll be a moisture evaporator. I don't care.
Do it.
I just want to be in it.
Yeah, but if they were to say, "Hey, okay, you can be in Star Wars, and we're going to let you be anything you want. What do you want to be? Like, what would be your dream scenario?" And you can't say Han Solo.
I know.
So,
dude, I would want to be. I don't know. Maybe just like. I don't know.
Oh, dude. Okay, how about this? They make you Dengar.
Oh, I would love to be Dengar. Wrap myself in rags.
Because you could still see your face, but you'd still get like prosthetics and.
Yeah, it'd be better like a 4-alarm or a.
You want to be completely covered? You want any of your face shown?
No, I want to see my
matter?
face. That's why Dengar. I'd like to be Dengar. Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't think I would carry that. I'd be Dengar. Fuck it.
Oh, so.
Man. Anything for this episode? Anything else about the show like that we didn't bring up? I think we hit everything. I mean,
we hit it. Like we said, it wasn't a dense episode, but it was just visually, it was very cool.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, you're a comedian. You have stuff to promote. Let's throw it out there. What do you got going on?
Yeah, I do a daily podcast called The Ralph Report with Ralph Garman, which is I think how we got connected.
Mm-hmm.
I also do another daily podcast on radio.com called Swings and Misses. Where we talk about sports and pop culture and stuff.
And Mrs. is MRS?
MRS, it's her. Yeah. It's a husband and wife, and I'm the third wheel. It's Cody Decker and Jen Sturger. We're on every day from 10 to 1 on radio.com. And then I do a weekly podcast with a fellow comedian, Jerry Rocha, called The Ramble.
Mm-hmm. Is that about wrestling?
And we talk, no, that's all, you'd love it. It's all nerd stuff. It's all Star Wars and comic books and movies and video games.
Cool.
And
I listen to the Ralph Report religiously. It's like I said, I work graveyard shifts, and so I listen to it like on my way home from work, or actually during work sometime. And
nice.
It's.
Well, check out the Ramble, because you probably dig the Ramble. We do a lot of. It's all like nerd stuff, comic books and superheroes. It's it's just if you follow my social media at all, you can just look it up on there.
Yeah, I've seen the logo, and I want to say. The font or the design, the like podcast logo is based on like the wrestling? SNES wrestling? What is it? No,
it's based on the Avengers logo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Ramble, but Avengers with the arrow going through the A, it's going through the R.
Okay. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought it was based on like the old SNES wrestling, the one with like the Amazon and Starface and.
Pro wrestling. Yes,
yeah.
NES Pro Wrestling. Yeah, that was great. King Slender.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for asking me to do this. It was fun. I always love talking Star Wars.
Yeah, dude, me too. I feel bad because it's like this goes on my Patreon page, which I'm hoping more people come on board because it's like $1, dude. I'm only charging $1. But the thing is, it's like. Dude, the last like 2 months has been like nothing but Star Wars talk, and I'm like, oh shit, I hope people don't mind that this has just turned into a Star Wars podcast, but fuck it. What are we gonna dude, come January, it's gonna be Star Wars season. Yeah, exactly. It is Star Wars season. It used to be May, but
I know. I like it better in December.
Yeah, it's like super Christmas.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, cool. All right, Eddie. Thanks again. And
thanks, bro.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Anytime.